Eddie, Eddie, Eddie. What are we going to do with you?
Welcome into the Moi Ploy Boys Dynasty Podcast, the greatest podcast that you didn't want or ask for. And now introducing your hosts, Jake the Gluten Freak Harris and Peter Cheater Pigoo Hot Sizzle O'Donnell.
What is up, my homies, and welcome into the My Ploy. It is just by Jake the Gluten Freak Harris. We have got a Dynasty Moi Ploy Boys podcast for y'all coming at you hot. 8:57 p.m. from the STL. Boys, 2 weeks are in the books. It's been a while. I've been super busy. A lot of work. Bought a house. 3 kids under 3 years old. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot of a lot. All right. Enough of me. Let's talk about something that makes me very happy. Fantasy football. Well, boys, we have got a couple of weeks of games to catch up on, so let's go ahead and take a look. We have got Team Juan Solo in week 1 taking down Team Gluten Freak. I've sold out every single usable piece pretty much, so that is not surprising. Then we've got Team Eddie barely outscoring the team that is tanking for last place and getting crushed by the number 1 team in the league, the Iceman. I don't know why I'm making a hissing sound. It just sounds like, I don't know. Tom Riddle. Look, we need to talk about Tom. We're going to talk about Tom in a little bit, but the Dark Lord. Just kidding, we're not going to sit through that whole thing. All right, then we've got Jim Mertz barely losing in a brotherly grudge match here. Another team that could be construed as tanking. Ray Mertz came out huge in this very clutch win. Patty Mahomes going big for him. Najee Harris going small. James Cook, better off if you didn't start him. CeeDee Lamb disappearing out, but then here come the saviors. Gabe Davis, Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry, and Alec Pierce. Just kidding. And he flexes a tight end and it pays off. I don't even think there was really anyone on his bench that would have been better than flexing that tight end. The classic tight end flex pays off. Robbie Anderson obviously would have replaced Mr. Zero Catch Alec Pierce, but huge win. Congratulations to both Ray, Juan, Tom. We've got Jordo versus Brett. Man, the 2 teams that sold all of their picks to whoop some ass this year. Yikes. We're going to talk about it. We're not going to talk about it now. Getting raffle stomped by Jordo. Then we've got softball guy Rich versus Hot Sizzle O'Donnell. 150 to 147. Hot Sizzle O'Donnell barely edges out the softball guy himself. All right. So now we're going to take a look at week 2. Another set of games. These, however, none of them were particularly close except for one. Bunch of blowouts in week 2. Week 2 was a wild week of fantasy football, man. Stephon Diggs putting up 44 points. Joe Flacco's dropping 27. Garrett Wilson's dropping 30. Irv Smith is actually getting fantasy points. Like Tua put up 50 something. I don't know. Like it was just a nutty week of fantasy football. But as designed, the Gluten Freak getting stomped this time by the softball guy. Happy to be your free win, Tom, or not Tom, Rich. Sorry, it's confusing because we have a Tom and your name's Mad Tom, but it's not Tom, it's Rich. Anyways, Jimmer getting off. We'll just stop there. Getting off all over Eddie Disler, whose name we might be changing to Sweating Pisser, because Eddie Disler, the Sweating Pisser, is got to be sweating about how badly his team is pissing the bed. Then we got Ray going down, getting doubled up. Doubled up by Tom the Iceman Riddle. His name isn't actually Tom Riddle, but it is Tom. And, yeah, Tom's team just... I mean, it's the story of the quarterbacks. Jackson, Tua. And he's also got Amon-Ra, Mike Williams, a little help there, but the quarterbacks are pretty much... the quarterbacks are like 33% of his production. Just absolutely wild week there. Probably one of the highest scores we're going to see this season. Then we've got Team Brett shitting the bed again. We've got Brett the Sweat Fitzgerald, another sweaty person out here in the league. He put his chips all in, and yeah, it's looking rough out here in the streets for this man. Better days are ahead for Eddie and Brett, but only there's room for them to miss the playoffs, that's for sure. Team Juan Solo gets the edge out here. We already took a look at that. Sorry. Hot Sizzle O'Donnell, 170. Jordo Chaw, 142. Sizzle, a shocking 2-0 Team Hot Sizzle. With his 0 RB strat, I really expected to see a little bit less, especially when he gets like blanks like Judy and Henry. But these young receivers, they're putting up points, and he's making some gutsy start-sit decisions. Putting Jahan Dotson in there over some veterans that he's got. I think this week he benched... who did he bench? Elijah Moore. It's a gutsy bench. Still rocking with Cole Beasley. So yeah, it's interesting here. Interesting strategy. Now, enough of that. Enough of the recap. I really started this episode because I want to talk about a couple of teams. Welcome to the Panic Bus. Sweaty Eddie and Brett the Sweat. All right, guys. I don't see any way around it. You guys have absolutely sold all of your picks. I mean, like, if we go and look at what picks you've got left, Brett has 0 picks until 2025. Eddie has 1 pick that is a 4th rounder in 2024. If that's not panic bus inducing, I don't know what is. Now, that said, let's take a little bit of a deeper look at these rosters here. I want to see how badly it truly is time to panic. All right, take this down, and we are going to go into a zoom in on Eddie Disler. He has got... I called Trevor Lawrence bottom 20 or beneath QB 20 in points per game. Dak is going to be out up to 6 weeks. He's got Jacoby Brissett, Kirk Cousins, and Trevor Lawrence. Oof. I mean, Trevor Lawrence and Cousins are probably going to be your starters from here on out, and that's not a great place to be. You're kind of just trying to hold on until Dak gets back. Now, you do have valuable assets. If you wanted to push the chips in a little bit further, you could consider... You're not going to get much for Derrick Henry right now. You're not going to get much for Leonard Fournette at this moment. Not until they have a couple of monster games. But at the same time, I'm also not selling them if I'm you. Who I would be looking to sell would be someone like a DK Metcalf, who got 7 targets, 7 catches, only 36 yards, and less than 10 fantasy points. This offense looks atrocious, absolutely awful. They are who we thought they were. The Seattle Seahawks are who we thought they were. Deontay Johnson I'd be holding. I think brighter days are ahead for Deontay. Love Mandrews. ETN, another valuable young piece. You could hold him, you could trade him. You know, something to think about. You can do either, but you could hold him in hopes that he comes on strong. But if you go 0-3 and you're this all in on winning now, you could consider trying to sell an ETN for a slightly older, more productive back. especially if his production begins to pick up. But if his production stays this low and this bad, your window to sell high on ETN would close. So it is a gamble. Do you want to hold and double down, or do you want to sell and double down on the all-in strat? James Conner just got injured. Unlucky. You're not going to get much for Conner anyways. He wasn't worth much in startup drafts, and unless he shows that he's going to be pushing through injuries. But again, I've got a theory. It's like a money ball, but it's money cuck. So my money cuck theory is that when a running backs in particular, when players get paid, some of them, the ones that aren't hungry to be the greatest of all time, start missing games for, my shoulder kind of hurts today, coach. I don't think I can go. And I think straight up, they've got guaranteed money on their contract. They just don't go out and play. They don't want to put in the work. They don't want to get hurt. Football's a painful sport. Not everyone loves their job when their job is to play football. Like, some people work at what might be your dream job, but it's just a job to them. There's days they don't want to go in. And if they can find an excuse, like, oh man, I took a helmet to the knee, coach, I can't go, they're probably going to take it. There's people out there. James Conner, I think, I'm pretty sure he was on a 1-year deal last year, played every game. He's got a history of being injured. He's not on a 1-year deal. I believe they sent him to a 2-year deal. And all of a sudden, I can't go this week. I can't go next week. Pay attention. Pay attention to it. Christian McCaffrey got paid. Suddenly he misses 2 seasons in a row. Shocking. It's anecdotal, but I'm going to be compiling evidence for that theory of mine. And the sad part, Eddie, is that you don't have much on your bench. You've got Mooney, terrifying. There's a few people who believe in Mooney, myself included, but this is a chance to get out. Galladay cleaned out his locker down in there in New York. That's concerning. And like MVS seems to be he is who we thought he was. Gerald Everett, a very usable tight end. This would be a great sell high chance to maybe get some wide receiver depth because, good God, you got nothing, man. I'd be looking to add some wide receiver depth by trading away maybe a Gerald Everett coming off 2 big games, maybe a Mike Gesicki coming off a big game. You don't need 3 startable tight ends on your roster, brother. You don't, and you'd really need some wide receiver depth. All right, next roster I'm going to be taking a look at our other panic bust candidate. Welcome aboard, Brett Fitzgerald. Whew. It is rough out here in the streets for y'all, man. You guys have the same record as my team, and I sold every usable piece. Zoinks. Now you've outscored me by quite a bit. But the fact of the matter is, Brett, you are bottom 3 in scoring, and Eddie, you are bottom 4 in scoring. And that's scary. That's not where you want to be. Eddie, I feel like there's people out there who have more trust in C-Mac, Dalvin. If you wanted to say, fuck it, I'm blowing it up this year, I think you could probably make trades trading away Cook and McCaffrey and Devonta Adams and Allen Robinson. Like, you've got pieces that I feel like people have more faith in those 3, and you've got a couple of young pieces with CEH, Brown, and you got some young quarterbacks, and I think Daniel Jones is going to get the Trubisky treatment here. He'll probably end up as a backup somewhere for a year and then maybe get a second chance as a starter in a bit. That Trubisky treatment, maybe the Mariota treatment as well. Chase Edmonds not looking good. J.K. Dobbins, I tried to warn you about this, man. I tried to tell you to trade him away. You didn't want to listen. Here we are. Robert Woods is another candidate for me to sell. Noah Brown might be a sell-high candidate. Curtis Samuel, definitely get him in your lineup. What the hell are you thinking? Not having this man in your lineup? Get him in there immediately. Get him in there over probably CEH in your flex. Get him in there maybe over Jeff Wilson, who's probably going to get injured next week and end up missing. But I feel like your roster is in a little bit better situation because you've got a little bit more usable depth on your bench. Sammy Watkins is like tempting to start sometimes. Noah Brown, I wouldn't put him in there, but Robert Woods. You've got names that people recognize. I don't know if they're going to be fantasy producers, but names people recognize. And you've got George Kittle riding the pine, which feels bad, but Logan Thomas came through for you. So, how panicked should you guys be? Honestly, I'd say quite. This Titans offense looks horrible. Each of you have shares of it. I would want no piece of this Titans offense except for a young receiver, hoping that they get a real quarterback next year and add another passing option in that offense. You know, what else can I say, man, except, God, this sucks, guys. It really sucks. Sorry. Sucks to suck. All right, boys, moving forwards, there haven't really been any big moves recently. I don't believe the league chat. Brett's picked, it's just been a couple of small pickups. No big trades or anything recently. I don't think. It's been a while since we've talked. It's hard to remember everything that I have changed. But yeah, Eddie, if you want a real quarterback, I've got Carson Wentz. You could start him instead of outside the top 20 Trevor Lawrence. Just hit me up, Doug. Yeah, there hasn't really been any trades. It's been a long time since anything's really gone down in the league. Nothing really to talk about, just a bunch of back-end roster moves. One thing I am considering at the end of this year is shrinking our rosters a little bit, make our waivers a little bit more juicy, and we might kind of, if you guys are open to it, shrink it gradually. Maybe like by the end of week 4, you've got to make a cut. End of week 8, make a second cut. And just like, these are end of bench guys, no one that you really, really care about. And then like maybe the next week after that, make a third cut and maybe make a fourth cut. We are only a 10-team league. I did build it super deep, and I do like having deep leagues, and it is kind of nice to just kind of have most of the action be in the off season and not really have to worry about like hustling on the waiver wires, especially those of us that are in multiple leagues. But tell me what you guys think about it, and I will see y'all in the next one. Thank you for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the season. I'm having fun making it. I'm having fun offering you guys trades that get rejected constantly. It's a good time. All right, we will see you guys in the next one. Have a good day. Bye.